Hey everyone, it's me, Master Horse 9. I'm here to talk about a little video called My Thoughts on Goku's Strength, an approach to power scaling or power levels for future power scaling. Why am I doing this? This is an old topic. You know, everyone and their mother's done a video on Goku's true strength and stuff like that. Simple fact of the matter is I want to. Okay? Even though everyone else has talked about it, maybe I could bring up a perspective that's new. Maybe I can get this conversation going again. Maybe you guys can call me dumbass in the comments. Do whatever you want. Okay? So ultimately, I'm going to do it. First thing I'm going to start off is a talk about ki. So what is ki? Well, ki is a combination of Genki, Yuki, and Shoki, or vigor, courage, and right-mindedness, which takes to be the life force energy. It's manipulated, it's sensed, it's developed. When we think about ki in Dragon Ball, ki tends to be used for the form transformations, powering up, healing, like in the case of Dende, and using skills. So Goku would enhance his physical body with ki before landing a punch, or use his ki to go Super Saiyan, or use his ki to, do the Kamehameha. With that understanding of ki, let's also take a look at energy. Energy is the capacity to do work or cause change. Work is when force is applied to an object and said force is transferred. So when you pick up your phone or move your mouse, you are changing the position of that item. You are applying force and work is being done. That's the big thing, is energy is used to cause a force. It's also important to acknowledge that force is mass times acceleration. So the more matter in an object, the more force it's going to have, and the faster it moves, the more force it's going to have. Think about a bowling ball and a ping pong ball. A bowling ball is going to hurt a lot and deal a lot of force because it's so heavy. Got a lot of mass. But a ping pong ball can really hurt if you huck it fast enough. You shoot it out at 100 miles an hour, it's going to hurt even though it's got a much lighter mass. And the final thing to remember is pressure is force divided by area. So the smaller the area, the more pressure, and more force means more pressure. If you think about a hose, hoses can have wide edges that just kind of splurt out some water and be used for simple play, versus hoses that have a lot of water coming out of a little edge, little tiny spot. It's going to give a lot more force, a lot more sense of force, a lot more pressure. I bring these topics up because of Goku here. Now this is Goku during his second Budokai Tenkaichi tournament. He's around 14, he's an absolute dumbass, he loves him. Everyone loves Goku, especially during the first Dragon Ball. This is not Z, not Super, not GT, not the weird special where you meet Tarbell. This is Dragon Ball. In that tournament, he fights Jackie Chun, who no one knows who Jackie Chun would be, and Jackie Chun blows up the moon. Some of you might be saying, well, Dragon Ball Original is kind of like a gag manga. Like, sure, there's a storyline, but all in all, it's meant for a comedic approach. It's type shit, okay? Go on to Z, and Z you definitely see a lot more planet destruction. This is ignoring Super and Beerus. I'm talking about Z. Base Frieza destroyed planet Vegeta. Frieza destroyed planet Namek. And Frieza destroyed planet Earth. So Earth wasn't Super, but I feel like he could have destroyed Earth at any time. Vegeta was a planet destroyer. Also think about Cell. Cell's explosion, planet destruction. It was filler, but Vegeta definitely had the power to destroy a planet. And in Majin Buu, he was destroying whole galaxies. So there's a ton of evidence about planet destruction being a main staple in Z. And ultimately, Z was a more serious manga. It was a real manga compared to gag manga. Not to say gag mangas aren't real mangas, but the point stands that the powers are supposed to be taken more seriously. This is real shit. So understanding that, how do you blow up a planet? Well, to blow up a planet, you just need a ton of energy, a ton of heat. So here's the formula. The energy is equal to 3 times the gravitational constant of that planet times the planet's mass squared. Then you divide it by 5 times the radius of the planet. So what does this mean? The higher the gravity, the higher the mass, and the less the radius, the more energy you're going to need to destroy that planet. So think about the moon that Roshi destroyed. Roshi needed about 1.24 times 10 to the 24th joules of energy to blow up the moon. Okay, this is gag manga. Well, we'll take the Earth. We'll say that the Earth is a comparable spot to Vegeta. Even though Vegeta had a much higher gravity, I presume Vegeta would be a bit smaller as well. But let's take a look at the moon. That energy is roughly equivalent to 600 billion SAR bombas. The SAR bomba is the most powerful nuclear device that we have ever created. So you take the most powerful nuke of all time, and you get 600 billion of them. Then you can blow up the moon. Gone, reduced atoms. The force to blow up the Earth is even more so. 2.24 times 10 to the 32 joules. What's the difference? 8 more zeros. So you're multiplying it by about 10 million. That's a pretty big difference. I think the difference between $1 and $10 million is quite noticeable. So multiplying 10 million to just get to the energy to destroy the Earth, which I think, again, Vegeta is very comparable to that. The planet Vegeta. So, assuming that the Earth is a baseline planet, you know, there's some that are bigger, like the gas giants, but there are some that are smaller, you know, a little bit more dense. I think the Earth is going to be a good baseline. But Frieza's power in his base form is 530,000. I'm going to talk about some of the other forms. 3,200,000 for full power, not full power, but final form. Mecha Frieza 140 million, and Golden Frieza is theorized to be 10 quintillion. But just let's look at Frieza in his base form. This is assumed to be what his power was when he destroyed Vegeta, because he never trained. That's his natural power, born with that. And I don't think he needed all his power to destroy Vegeta, but he tends to use his giant death ball. Compared to the size of the planet, it's small. It's a noticeable size, but it's small. So that force is combined into a small area relative to the planet. It's got a high amount of pressure, creating a high amount of energy, a high amount of joules. Let's take this 530,000 and take that as the maximum that he used. He used all his power to destroy the planet. This is the amount of energy to destroy a planet. Take a look at Goku now. Goku at the start of Z is at 334 for his base power. This is shown to us when Raditz scanned him with the scanner. During the Ginyu Force saga, he increased exponentially to 90,000. Granted, you know, he took quite a beating from Vegeta, he did the gravity training, and a ton of Zenkai boosts. However, this is pre-Super Saiyan. This is him fighting the Ginyu Force. Then you start to get into Super Saiyans. Super Saiyan is a 50 times multiplier, with Super Saiyan 2 being 100 times base multiplier, or twice that of a Super Saiyan. And Super Saiyan 3 is a 400 times base multiplier, or 4 times that of a Super Saiyan 2. Now, it's not necessarily confirmed, but more an estimate of Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan, and Ultra Instinct. But we have some estimates of the power level multiplier being 20,000 and 1 million. The 1 million comes from the multiplier being 50 times the Super Saiyan God. Because again, you're taking in God Ki and you're going Super Saiyan. So multiply that 20,000 by 50. Not fully sure on the 20,000 multiplier, but I think it's to deal with the 5 Super Saiyans that are needed for the ceremony. Now, important aspect to note is that being a Super Saiyan takes up a ton of energy, a ton of ki. Super Saiyan 3 only lasts about 5 to 8 minutes. If you remember in the Tournament of Power, Goku starts out in his base form, then works his way to Super Saiyan 2, maybe touches upon 3, Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan. He uses that to pace out his energy. If he was using Super Saiyan 3, especially around the Buu fight, it lasts around 5 to 8 minutes before he's completely wiped. As of superhero, and I know we just got the bonus manga about Trunks and Vegeta and then Gohan Beast versus Ultra Instinct, but I'm just going to use that as superhero. His base theorized power is 250 trillion. Now, this comes from mad training with Whis and Beerus. You know, he's on an insane gravity planet, working extremely hard and mastering his combat, especially through fighting with Vegeta a ton. He's also had extreme fights, Frieza, the Tournament of Power, and excuse me, Broly. So 250 trillion sounds extremely high, but compared to what Goku has been through and fought, I can definitely see it. So you take the Ultra Instinct 1 million multiplier, and you do that against the 250 trillion. You're looking at 250 quintillion as a power level. So what does this mean? Okay, let's take this 250 quintillion and divide it by the base Frieza, which we're going to assume is the necessary energy to destroy a planet. This means that Goku has the power to destroy 471 trillion 698 billion 113 million 207,547.2 planets. I'm even going to try and say that number: 100,000 million billion trillion quadrillion quintillion 326 tillion. I guess I did try to say that. But it's theorized there's 326 tillion planets in the observable universe. Now, this is an insane amount, but consider this. The odds of this, not the odds, but the percentage of the universe destroyed from a theoretical max power attack is going to be 0.000001474%. This isn't a small number. It is. It sounds like a small number. That's because it is. It's not even 1%. Far off from 1%. Consider the following though. Odds of winning the Powerball are 0.00759%. This is also the entire universe we're talking about. Not a planet. We're not talking about a galaxy or a solar system. We're talking about the entirety of the universe. Everything in existence from what we could tell. And it's like maybe 1/100th of winning the Powerball. 100th is honestly small compared to that. So with this assumption of the energy of destroying a planet, Goku would have a power level of around 27.9 to the 10 to the power of 44 joules of force. This is 279 followed by 43 zeros. This is assuming, of course, that Goku is destroying moons, which is very small planets. We're using the low ball energy. This is such an insanely high amount, I don't think it's possible to fathom it. I think this number is much bigger than the number of observable atoms in the universe. Besides strength, Goku also grows in speed. So let's take an assumption. Let's assume the speed buff multiplier is only 0.01%. So as he grows and as he gets stronger, he's only at 0.1%. Tournament of Power mistypo right there. I meant the Tibet Tenkaichi Budokai tournament. There's a scene where someone is using the super flash, the blinding flash, you know, where Krillin puts his hands up to his head and blinds everyone. He stole that from Tien. Anyways, Goku speeds out, steals the glasses from Jackie Chun, and uses it to protect his eyes. No one recognized that happened. Maybe part of it was them looking at Tien Shinhan, but another portion of it, Goku moves so fast that he was not able to be seen by the human eyes. Let's also take a look at Saiyan Invasion. During the fights, I remember Piccolo telling Gohan, you gotta use your ki to absorb their ki, because Gohan was having trouble watching the fights. It was happening so fast, he couldn't keep up, he couldn't watch it, it was too fast. And at that time, Gohan had an insane power level. So, since this is the case, I'm going to use this as a baseline to say that at this point in time, Saiyan Invasion, these guys were moving faster than the eye could process. Now, the eye could process speeds in times of 13 milliseconds. I'm going to lowball it and say that they're moving at 12 milliseconds. What does this mean? You move 10 feet in a straight line in 0.1 seconds. It looks like you just transported over there. It's before the eye could actually process what's going on. And 10 feet's a decent amount of space. That's, I don't know, I would say like the average length in a bathroom, like a gas station bathroom or something like that. Which, to go one end to the other in 1/10 of a second, insane amount. So let's take a look at how fast Goku's moving. You move 10 feet in 1/10 of a second, or 100 feet in 1 second. Then you take that at Goku's power level of the 250 quintillion, and you multiply that by the percentage of 0.0001. This means that Goku is moving 100, 1,000, million, billion, trillion, quadrillion, 2.5 quintillion feet per second. Now, rounding up, the speed of light in a vacuum is about 1 billion feet per second. So you cross off your zeros, 1, 2, 3. We're seeing that Goku is around 250 million times the speed of light. In an entire year, that light would travel a light year, which is an insane amount of distance. The amount of distance you use to measure between planets, because that's how big space is. The amount of distance that a piece of light, a particle of light, would have traveled in a year, Goku would have gone 250 times that distance. 250 million times that distance. Goku's extremely fast. So you don't consider blowing up planets to be a real feat. Look at you, you snob. Okay, what else can we use to our comparison on Goku's power level? Well, we have the OG Farmer with a Shotgun. When Raditz gets to planet Earth, he first spots the Farmer with a Shotgun. It's an iconic scene, and it's actually a very important scene, because he scans it, and in multiple media, we get this as a confirmation. The Farmer with a Shotgun's power level is 5. This is your baseline to understanding power levels. If Goku's was like 332, and the Farmer with a Shotgun, which is, you know what, if you went unarmed into a match with a shotgun, just a normal dude with a shotgun, you'd probably die. That's your baseline as 5 power. It helps us understand the strength and actuality of Goku and all further matches for that time. They dump power levels at a later point in time, but again, it helps us with scaling. We're going to take a look and say that the power level of 5 is for the shotgun. The Farmer actually had 0 power level. So, getting an idea, a shotgun can generate around 3,300 joules of force. And the speed in a 12 gauge, which is one of the more common shotguns, is about 1,250 feet per second. So what we're going to do is we're going to divide that by 5 with the power level to get the baseline for the shotgun. Then we're going to multiply it by those feats of the shotgun. So what does this mean? Goku's going to have a strength of about 1.65 times 10 to the 23 joules. That's 165 followed by 21 zeros. And as a speed, He's gonna have 100,000 million billion trillion quadrillion 6.25 quintillion feet per second as a speed. This is gonna be 6.250 times the speed of light. You guys see what I'm going at right here. If you don't want to take into account planet destruction, then you can definitely take in the shotgun, because that's real. You would say the planets will never be destroyed in real life. You know, maybe something can happen, but it's really out there. The shotgun is something that's man-made. That's a great showcase of power levels and comparisons, because you know what, it's a cartoon fantasy world, but where the guns aren't developed, we can get an assumption that it's quite similar to how it works on the human world, our world. All that taken away, Battle of Gods, Beerus fights Goku and Super Saiyan God. King Kai, Supreme Kai says the entire universe was going to be destroyed from their conflict. I get that might be a bit of an over-exaggeration, but you are seeing the effects and the scenes going on right now. You know, it's weird that it doesn't come up later on, but ultimately that's a showcase. Goku's clashes with Beerus in a vacuum were destroying planets. Even if you don't assume it's going to destroy the entire universe, you are destroying asteroids, meteorites, planets. This is an extreme showcase of Goku's power before he's actually hit his current peak. In conclusion, call me a dumbass if you will, because it's probably true, but I just want to say Goku's strong. I want to get into this argument, and ultimately I just wanted to say, yeah, I wanted to be part of this, and I want to give my opinions on this, why Goku is so powerful. Use him to upscale, give him the Moria upscale, give him the Luffy upscale, give him the fucking Mihawk upscale. Mihawk is 50 billion times the speed of light. Anyways, my friends, stay sloppy. Bye.